Hello, my name is Beck and welcome to a spoiler-free review of Call Down the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater. While this review is going to be spoiler-free, I am going to be talking about the Whimsical Quartet by Maggie Stiefvater as well, because this is technically a fifth installment in an already established world by her, and it does reference characters in her previous series. So if you haven't read the Whimsical books, then I'm not sure if you should be watching this review, because I will be talking about things that have happened in the past, but obviously I won't be telling you about the plot of what happens in this book. This book is a split perspective book, unlike her other books, so it follows Ronan Lynch and his brothers Matthew and Declan, and he is not the only character that we follow along with. We also follow along with two others. These characters are Jordan Hennessy, and she is an art forger, and she's also linked to another dreamer who is like Ronan. And then we've also got Carmen Faruk Lane, who is a hunter, and she hunts dreams and dreamers. This can kind of read as a contemporary with a bit of magical flavour stirred in, but I'd definitely categorize it as urban fantasy because we see a lot about dreams and things pulled from dreams to be made reality and visions and magic. So it's definitely a magic infused book, and I really liked that about it. There's even an entire magical black market. The writing though is very stylized and whimsical, which is kind of reminiscent of her first quartet in this world as well. And if that's something that you're not really vibing with, I personally really enjoyed it, but if it's not really your thing, I think you'd struggle to grasp this story and you probably wouldn't enjoy it as much and would probably be a little bit bored. And for me, just personally, the plot in the middle of the book felt a little bit like this. It was a little bit slow and meandering, but I genuinely really enjoyed the ending and the start, and the character of Ronan, who I loved from the first quartet, is what really drove me into completing and enjoying this book overall. I think the reason that it felt slower in the middle as well is because Ronan has already developed significantly in the first quartet, so we don't see a lot of his character development in here. He does go through a story arc in this book, but his character is already very much well maintained, so we kind of know who he is already and what decisions he might make, and we see the changes in the Whimsical that have gone on with his character kind of come to a head in this book because he's a different person. Not entirely different, but he's a different person in this book because he's distinctively grown up from what he was like in the Whimsical Quartet. We're now seeing Ronan, who is dating Adam from the initial series, and he's figuring out that relationship coupled with not going to college, and also figuring out his family dynamics and how that works with his dreaming and the night wash, which is a substance that comes out of every orifice on his face when he doesn't dream and pull something out of a dream. So it forces him into sleep and it forces him to pull something out of a dream. And that really inflicts some tension onto the plot in this book, and I liked the inclusion of it because I don't remember reading about it in the quartet, so I think it's a fairly new thing that has happened in this book. Leading on from talking about the night wash, I really loved delving more into the magic in this book, because in the previous quartet magic was talked about and used, but in this one we see more development of that. So even though there's no like hard and fast rules with the magic system in here, there's kind of a general guide of what the characters understand, but because the magic is captured through different people's understanding, it's obviously going to look very different depending on who is manipulating what in their dreams and how the fallout of that works. So I liked delving more into that and delving more into Carmen Faruk Lane as the hunter, and she is working with this character who has visions, and they're trying to stop this pending apocalypse, and you don't really know what is going on and why and who Carmen is working for either. So I liked that you had both sides of the dreamers versus the wanting to kill the dreamers side, and that really built the tension and some nuance into the magic system that wasn't really there necessarily or as strongly in the first quartet. Previously, Maggie's books have been quite character focused and character driven, and that is pretty much the same for this book as well. There was a bit of a plot. It kind of tugged at you the way the waves at a beach tug at your ankles. It was present but not overarching, and you could notice it through different characters' decisions and the way things ended up getting pushed, but it was more of a background thing, and the characters definitely took up the forefront of this book. So the mystery and the loose magic system that we get to explore a little bit more, plus Ronan's character and how he interacted with another one of the perspectives, I won't tell you who, that's really what drove this book for me. And to be honest, I'm a convert now, because I wasn't sure if I would like Call Down the Hawk, because I liked the first two books in the Whimsical Quartet, and I found the next two, Blue Lily Lily Blue and The Raven King, not as good, so I was concerned about picking up this one, but I ended up really enjoying it. I love how this book focused on Ronan, and I love how it also focused on his relationship with Adam, but it also didn't make that the focus of the overarching story. It definitely incorporated it as part of Ronan's life, but the story was definitely anchored in Ronan's experiences and what was going on with the plot around him, rather than pivoting directly on a relationship at the forefront of the story. And I really like that it did that. It gave it a little bit more depth and nuance, and I really love the reactions between Adam and Ronan. They were just so beautiful. Overall, I'm giving Call Down the Hawk 4 out of 5 stars because it touched on old and new things in this book, and it really gave it a new flavour and a new direction, and I'm really intrigued as to where this book is going to go next. If you're on the fence like me with this series and you're not sure whether to read it or not, definitely pick it up and give it a try. I listened to the audiobook and I really enjoyed it, and you can as well read this as the start of a new series, but like I said before, it would make a lot more sense if you read this as technically like the 5th installment in the Raven Cycle series, because it really does pivot on some prior knowledge, and a few characters and their decisions and some of their dialogue will make a little bit more sense if you've already read the books before this one. You can read it as the start of a new series as well, so if you're worried about having to read the Raven Cycle, and that's 4 books before you get to this one, you can just dive right into this one, but of course I would recommend reading this as part of an already established series. And there you go, that is my spoiler-free review of Call Down the Hawk. Please do let me know if you've read this down in the comments and let me know what your rating is. I'd love to chat with you, but again, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.